Now, the November unemployment report is out, and unemployment came in at 7.7%, and underemployment came in at 14.4%. Now, what do you think about that, Deadpool?
I think the unemployment could get better if we change some of the things we're doing in this country, and the Congress could decide on some bills to get some legislation passed to change the economic downturn.
Now, the labor force participation rate is at 63.6%, meaning that only 63.3% of people that can work are working. Now, why do you think the government tells people that it's only 7.7% unemployment?
Oh, I can answer that. That's because of the people that are underemployed. They don't count those people. See, if you work 13 hours a week, they say, oh, you got a job, even though 13 hours a week only gets you a slice of bread and a gallon of gas. So they count those people and saying, oh, we don't have to worry about those people. They work a little bit, and a little bit's enough.
Now, of the long-term unemployed, 40.1% of the unemployed are long-term unemployed. 40.1% of the unemployed are long-term unemployed. Other planets like India and China don't pay their people to be unemployed. But Planet America borrows money from India and China. Is this creating a welfare state to pay unemployment benefits?
Oh, it's not fair. You know, those countries have policies in place to do things for the people that we don't do here because they're really into culture and doing things the traditional way of taking care of their people. But the United States is all about innovation and democracy. And democracy is just a way to screw your people over. And those countries don't have any concept of democracy, and that's why they're nothing like the United States.
Now, seasonal workers make up a large part of the workforce this time of year. What is your outlook for next year, seeing the Galactic Senate may not fix the fiscal cliff?
Well, I think those people that work at Oxnard, that pick onions or apples or scrub toilets with their hands, I think those people count. They are part of the employment force per se. But I think that you can't really count them because the jobs that they do are not like jobs for a large amount of people. It's just a certain amount of people that are a small, select group. And you can't really count them as being part of the economic input, output because of their undocumented status, documented status per se.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Congress, you need to pass that Disabilities Act. I mean, come on. Does somebody have to take a wheelchair up a flight of stairs? It's not fair.
So in closing, this is Tax System, the Predatory Lending Network, talking to you. Now, the November unemployment report is out, and unemployment came in at 7.7%, and underemployment came in at 14.4%. Now, what do you think about that, Mickey?
I think that those numbers are all cooked by the government. I think unemployment depends on what race the people are. That may be 7.7% for the white folks, but it's not for the Hispanic community or the black community. And underemployment is what's more important. The 14% underemployment means those are people who are working poor, who are working on welfare, who have food stamps, or general relief and have a job. That's terrible.
Now, the labor force participation rate is at 63.6%, meaning only 63.3% of workers... Oh, crap, my numbers are wrong. The labor force participation rate is at 63%, meaning only 63% of people that can work are working. What do you think of the government telling its people that the unemployment rate is only 7.7%?
It's just not right. It's cooked. It's one math version doesn't add up to the other one. We have 30-some% of our able-bodied people who can't find jobs. That's obscene. It's terrible. Mickey says that's bad.
Now, 40.1% of the unemployed are long-term unemployed. Other planets like India and China don't pay their people to be unemployed. Planet America borrows money from India and China. Now, is this creating a welfare state to pay unemployment benefits?
The government uses the money for all sorts of things, but it definitely uses part of it for that. It's absolutely to turn us into a liberal welfare state.
Now, seasonal workers make up a large part of the workforce this time of year. What is your outlook for next year if the Galactic Senate can't fix the fiscal cliff?
I think it'll just continue to get worse, or the best case scenario, same crap, different day. It'll be the same thing as this year.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
I can't believe Obama got reelected.
So in closing, this is Tax System, the Predatory Lending Network, signing out. Now, the November unemployment report is out, and unemployment came in at 7.7%, and underemployment came in at 14.4%. What do you think about that, Tinkerbell?
I think most of the people need help getting jobs, and it will help them like work more hours and do good in life.
Now, the labor force participation rate is at 63%, meaning only 63% of workers that can work are working. Now, why do you think the government tells its people that the unemployment rate is only 7.7%?
I'm not sure about that, but it's good for people to know about it.
Now, 40.1% of the unemployed are long-term unemployed. Other planets like India and China don't pay their people to be unemployed. Yet planet America borrows money from India and China. Is this creating a welfare state to pay unemployment benefits?
Yes, it's pretty hard.
Now, seasonal workers make up a large part of the labor force this time of year. What is your outlook next year if the Galactic Senate can't pass the fiscal cliff?
It's just good to help out everybody because it's good to be there for everybody because they need the help.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
No, nothing.
So in closing, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network signing out. Now, the November unemployment report is out, and unemployment came in at 7.7%, and underemployment came in at 14.4%. Now, what do you think about that, Darth?
Well, I think we're sort of slowly but surely improving. It's going to take, several more years for the economy to really pick up steam. You can't make new jobs overnight. And if the economy is sluggish, that's just going to slow it down all the more.
Can we take a step back and a step towards you? The labor force participation rate is at 63%, meaning only 63% of people that can work are working. Now, why do you think the government tells its people that the unemployment rate is only 7.7%?
Oh, they're trying to reduce it down to an understandable rate because, there's a lot of factors. There's like the percentage of people that are in between jobs, which is usually about 7%. Then you have the people that are actually being in the process of being terminated and people that are in the process of being hired and people that have given up or they're in between fields and getting education and whatnot. So I think that's too much for most people to grasp all in one figure, let's say. Well, it sounds scarier, doesn't it? If you say 36% or 34% are unemployed.
Now, 40.1% of the unemployed are long-term unemployed. Other planets like India and China don't pay their people to be unemployed. Planet America borrows money from India and China. Is this creating a welfare state to pay unemployment benefits?
No. Well, the money they borrowed was not specifically for paying unemployment benefits, but I'm not in that whole welfare state of mind anyways. You got to do what you got to do, and you can't have 36% of the population homeless and destitute, because then you will have problems.
Now, seasonal workers make up a large part of the workforce this time of year. What is your outlook for next year if the Galactic Senate cannot pass the fiscal cliff?
Well, do you want me to talk about the fiscal cliffs? Because they got to do something. And people got to pay their fair share in this country. If it weren't for unions 50 years ago, we'd all still be working for 6 cents an hour and working 15, 18-hour days. So, like I said, it's time for some of the upper echelon people to pay more, because you cannot beat a dead horse and get blood out of it. Well, you could get blood out of it, but it won't be good blood. And you can't tax the lower income and the middle class any more than they already are. So it's time for people that are making the big bucks to turn over a little bit more to Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
So in closing,
there you are.
So in closing, any last minute things you'd like to say?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Who's your daddy?